Talysarn, a village in the slate quarrying Nantlle Valley in Gwynedd, North Wales, and it's where my personal photography journey started 40 years ago in 1985.
Right here to be exact. That house behind me, that you can see over my shoulder near the red car, that's the very house I grew up in. Right here in Talysarn. Now it has changed a bit since then. Back then it was black and white, it wasn't pebble dashed. I'd lived here less than a year when I'd hold my first camera and was sent up the mountain behind the house to take some photos. I used to walk down that way, up the mountain with my dog. And my gran one day, who was disabled, gave me a camera to go and take some photos, and I didn't want to do it. Little did I know that day my lifelong interest in photography would be perked. Because that was the day, or at least a week later, when I saw the photos developed, that was when I got my interest in photography. And it all started right here, right where I'm stood now. So I'm going to take you on the walk I used to do up the mountain. I'm going to put a bit of B-roll up and a bit of voiceover. Something a bit emotional, really. A bit of voiceover to talk you through what we're doing.
The most notable location in Talysarn is the Great Dorothea Quarry at the end of the village, basking in the shadow of Erwyddfa, Snowdonia. It's through these streets I used to walk my dog towards the mountain at the back of the house, where I took my first photos. The Welsh language poet Robert Williams Parry was born in Talysarn at 37 Station Road, where a plaque designed by R.L. Gapper commemorates the connection.
Say the old path up my mountains, overgrown, is something of an understatement. 40 years ago, this was clear. You could see, as far as the eye could see. The mountain's just up here, behind these bushes, but my God, has it grown. It's changed a lot. I'm going to be going through here, heading up to where I took my first photos. I should be able to give you a view of the mountain from above, give you a better idea of the views I used to get, and show you the mountain opposite that used to be the prominent mountain of my childhood. But I want to try and recreate some of my original images first. Let's fight through the bush and get to where we're going.
As I fight through the dense foliage, ferns, thorns, gorse bushes and bracken, up the path, so overgrown, being neglected so long, I finally reach a clearing. After breaking through the dense foliage of the now overgrown area where I used to run so free with my dog, I make my way over the mountain and to an area of rocks familiar from all those years ago. As I make my way towards the rocks and sit down, now a 48-year-old man, to take in the views from my first ever images, I think of the little boy I was sitting on the same rocks nearby, enjoying the same view, decades ago and separated by time.
So this is it. This is where, all those many years ago, I came to take my first photos. In fact, I was looking over this way towards Snowdon that I took them. Now, I didn't really think much about composition back then. I just basically took a snapshot, and I've just done that again. Because I'm using my iPhone at the moment for photos, I've used it on 2x magnification, and I've taken a shot looking this way, which is an exact replica of the shot I took all those years ago. I've taken another one this way, which isn't as impressive. None of the mountains are out today because of the cloud. This mountain over here, which I'll be going up later, is covered in cloud at the moment. Normally looks a lot more impressive than that. I'll try and remember and put a photo up. Now, as a child, I climbed halfway up that mountain to where the lake is. Well, when I say a child, I was a teenager. I went up with some friends. I went to the lake to swim, but I never made it up the mountain. It was only much later, when I was older, that I made it up that mountain. If I try and remember, I'll put a photo up what it looks like. Now, for this photo I've just taken here today, one of the things I've always wanted to do differently, I've always wanted to get a better composition. I've always wanted to see what I'd do now with that particular image looking over that way. So what I've done instead, I've come down here where this heather is. I don't know if you can see it behind me. I've got down low with that heather in the foreground and used that to lead into the image. I would never have thought of that when I was younger, but that's what 40 years of experience does to you. But this is where I took my very first photographs 40 years ago. Now I've managed to get that image in, and I've spent a few moments here reflecting on the past. I'm going to head to that mountain you can see in the background there. Covered by clouds at the moment, but the clouds are peeling away, and that should reveal the whole mountain, hopefully by the time we get there. Now, I don't know if you can see it on here, but there's a line going basically across the bottom of the mountain. And that's a wall, and the car park I'm heading to is at the bottom of that wall, and that's in a little town, a little village called Nebo. That's where I'm going next. I'm going to get the car parked up there, Then I'm going to make my way up that mountain, where hopefully I get some atmospheric images of the mountains surrounding. And with a bit of luck, that peninsula over there should be a lot more visible from up those mountains. Let's make our way down. I'm actually coming down a different way than the way I came up. I came up the way that I remember from my childhood, but this seems to be a newer footpath. Now back in the 80s when I used to come up here as a child, that area there that's overgrown used to look exactly like this. That's what it looked like. It was clear, it was clean, you was able to walk virtually anywhere on it. Just a few gorse bushes and brambles here and there, but that were about it. Now, time has certainly reclaimed it. I'm glad to see the mountain over there is clearing up. I'm going to head towards that car park and I'll see you there. We'll come on to the next stage of this little adventure.